We're now going to have a special presentation by men's basketball officials coordinator Curtis Shaw. Curtis is going to explain the new rules, and we'll take questions from the floor. He's going to do the question or respond to the question, but let us get a microphone to you before you start, okay? Curtis?
Great, thank you. It's always nice to take a few minutes and talk about the focus of the coming season. The directions come from the Men's Basketball Rules Committee as well as the NCAA bosses. And so I want you all to understand them because there are a few strange things this year. There's two words that really came up in the Rules Committee this year. They want deception and danger taken out of the game. So they've designed some rules and some interpretations to try to help with player safety and to keep players from trying to learn to do the deceptive plays. You know, the coaches talk about how great and hard a league it is. It is from a refereeing standpoint. But our staff's the best in the country. 8 of the 10 guys that are at the Final Four all work games in the Big 12. And I think that's very exemplary of what we do in the league that is very difficult to referee. Let's get started on this year and what we're looking at. We've got some clips that'll help us out. One of the main focus, because of the way we play the game, is on screens. It seems like all our offenses are high ball screens, pick and rolls, etc. So we've really had to focus on making screens legal. We've put in all the rules where the defense can't touch, push, get physical, so we can't then allow the offense to do illegal plays on top of that. So here's some examples of screens that we're really focused on and the type of plays we want out of the game. And when you all are doing media work, you can say, oh yeah, that's a point of emphasis, we've got to get this cleaned up. Go ahead. The first one's pretty easy. Guy goes, uses his butt to set a back screen, picks the guy off, leads to a wide open three-pointer. We're very focused on moving screens. In order to set a legal screen, you must be stationary. You don't want to necessarily have to face him, but you have to be stationary. You then can't use, quote, an unnatural movement such as sticking your butt out to have a screen. Okay? Another example play that's coming in. Kids are running up from the baseline, going up the court. Big guy at the elbow setting a screen. Another play we have to be stationary on because it leads to a wide open three-point shot. So major focus to get legal on screens. A real point of emphasis this year is the wide screen. By rule, you can set a screen with the inside of your foot, even with the outside of your shoulder. So basically like I'm standing now. When you get wide like this kid does, you're now illegal. Even if the defender runs into your chest and doesn't hit the extended wide foot, you're considered in an illegal position or going to get called for an illegal screen. So as I go around and talk to our teams and coaches, I really stress to the players to get a good, strong base, but you can't get outside your framework. The dribble handoff's a huge part of our game. We did a good job last year with it. A guideline that we are now teaching with, and what I've told our coaches and players is, once you hand the ball off, you're considered a screener. Therefore, you must either come to a stop or totally avoid the defensive player on your own. You don't become a cutter until, as a guideline, now it's not written in the rule book this way, but as a guideline, until you've taken 3 full steps after handing it off. Now you're considered a cutter. Then if you run into people, it may be chucking the cutter, it may be incidental. But before that point, you cannot run into a defender who's going over or under trying to chase the ball handler. Here's a great example of the pick and roll, and we have questions all the time. You'll hear the TV announcer saying, I don't understand, he's just rolling down the lane. But in this example, he goes to set a screen. However, the defensive player never makes contact with the screener. He stops to go underneath the screen before any contact. So in this case, the kid who's trying to set a screen becomes a roller, and it's a moving screen. Right now, the defender goes under, he rolls down the lane line, picks him off. That's an illegal screen. The next play will help show us the difference on why it's now legal to roll. In this case, the guy sets a screen, the defender actually runs into him. Once he runs into him, the screening part is over, he now becomes a cutter. So he now can make contact, roll down the lane line. If he picks him off, he's not illegal. So the guideline we tell referees, and again, what I'm telling our coach and players are, and a lot of time it's the ball handler's fault. He doesn't let the screener get there and do his job. But in order to set a screen and roll, there has to be contact with the screener. then he can roll and pick him off. If there's no contact, he goes under, he can't roll and pick him off. Here's an example of what we talked about after a pass or a handoff and taking the steps. In this example, the kid throws a pass. He then takes 3 full steps down the lane line. The defensive player in red cuts in front of him. Now he's no longer a ball handler. He's a cutter, and this should have been called an illegal screen on the team in the red or dark jerseys, because he slides over and impedes his ability to cut. So again, using that 3-step guideline, he became a cutter. Here's an example where he becomes a cutter. However, he then changes direction back into the defensive player. So right here, he passes it off 3 steps, but then he plants that left foot and hops to the right. So he's now made himself a screener again. And I wanted to show these 2 different plays to show how complex it is, and referees have to make these judgments in fast motion. You know, we're pretty good in slow-mo film, but this is what we've got to decide. Is he making a legitimate cut, or does he plant and then move into the path of a defender who's trying to go over, which leads to a wide-open 3-point shot? The other part of it, we had coaches that were starting to teach, if you see a screener coming to set a screen, speed up and run through him. He'll get an illegal screen because he never got there and got set. Well, as I said before, one of the things, the key words for the Rules Committee is danger. This is considered a dangerous play. So we've now put in a new rule, go ahead, where if a guy sets an illegal screen, which he's clearly still moving on this play, but you can see the defender speed up and then blow him up, we say. In a case like this now, we're now going to have a double foul. It's not only a foul for an illegal screen, it's also a foul on the kid in black for excessively contacting the screener. This could even be a flagrant one foul if you consider the contact to be extreme. All right? So we've taught coaches, again, if you're going to run into an illegal screen, don't try to be the tough guy and blow him up. Probably the most controversial thing you're going to see all year are these plays, the hook and hold. Most of this came down because of what happened to the kid from Purdue in the NCAA tournament. They've put in a severe penalty. In this case, 10 White comes from behind. He hooks the guy underneath. Then he wants to act like he's the one who got hooked. That's the deception part they want out of the game. In this case, because of the way he hooked him, this is now a flagrant foul. This is not just a common foul. This is a flagrant one foul due to the fact he's trying to deceive by initiating the hook. Okay? There's times on rebounds you may both go up, your arms just get hooked together. As long as you just untangle, you're fine. But in a play like this where he seeks out, he hooks under, and then acts like he got held, we've now got to have a flagrant one foul. This is the play that we all saw all year long. Big kid from Purdue comes down, kid in front, hooks him, throws him backwards. He ends up shattering his elbow. He's out of the NCAA tournament, and the Rules Committee felt this had to be addressed. In a case where you hook a kid and then put him in a dangerous situation by throwing him backwards, pulling him down, whatever, it's now a flagrant 2 foul. You're automatically ejected from the basketball game. Severe? Absolutely. But the Rules Committee said, this is big in the NBA. It's prevalent that they learn how to hook, hold, and fake. Our Rules Committee does not want that to occur. So we're going to put in a severe rule. They are. We're going to enforce it, and hopefully it stops that. Here's another example of a play where a kid hooks and holds. You can see the kid in black. He gets beat. So he grabs him by the arm and pulls him down. Even though he didn't go all the way to the floor, because he put him in a potential dangerous situation where he could have face planted, this is a flagrant 2 foul. He will be ejected for this. All right? They want it out of the game. So as media, when you're watching the game, you see this, go, I don't understand. Why was he thrown out just for that? He didn't even fall down. The risk of serious danger is why they stopped that. That's what we've got to focus on for this year. That's an example of the controversy that's going to occur on these hook and hold plays. Because of the hook and the hold play also, they put in a rule about protective equipment, We've always had that if it was deemed to be dangerous, they can't wear it. Well, our rule book says it's the referee's decision only. The NCAA and their medical staff has said if you put a half-inch of slow rebounding foam on stuff, he could possibly play. However, if a referee deems that the cast that's under there is still too hard, it could hit a guy in the head, cause concussion protocol, it could have a piece of metal on there that if you hit him, it might still cut him. It's solely the referee's decision whether the kid can play or not. The team doctor, the trainer can't say, oh, no, it's all right. No, because our rule book leaves the liability if a kid gets hurt and gets sued solely on the referee. So you may see a guy play on Tuesday, and you may see a referee come in on Saturday and say, he can't play. So every game may be different. It's a bad rule. It's a bad interpretation. It's bad that the medical staff doesn't make the decision. They make the referee liable, but it is what it is. So if we have injured players that try to play and all of a sudden he can't play one night and you have questions, that's the reason. Any questions I can help with? Yes, sir.
The NBA and see now, especially the screening and movement and all that. I mean, so is it my understanding that the NCAA, they see that too, and they absolutely do not want that a part of the game, even though the NBA believes it helps spacing and game flow and all that.
Yep. You got to remember the NBA is different than college basketball. The NBA plays 82 games, and they're trying to sell 15,000 tickets at $100 a piece. They're a business. So their rules and their interpretations may differ from ours, where we have student athletes that we're trying to prevent danger and injury. So our rules committee wants our rules to address that. We do not want the deception. We do not want necessarily that type of showmanship or that potential risk for danger. So we do have different interpretations based on the difference in games. Anything else? Great. Thanks, everybody, and we look forward to a great season.